Good morning, and welcome to day 3 of the annual meeting. Now, for those of you following along at home, it is Tuesday, November 10th. Every morning, the content that was presented the day before will be released so you can watch it on demand. Make sure to set up the My playlist in the meeting to add content that you want to view on your own timetable. It will put it in your queue, and for the next 3 months, you'll be able to watch as many sessions as you'd like. So I'm joined this morning by University of Massachusetts Amherst professor Anna Nagurney. She's an Informs Fellow and has been a rising star in the press recently surrounding the COVID pandemic. Hey, Anna.
Hi, Glenn. Great to see you.
Great to see you, too. Tell us a bit about what you've been up to.
Sure. That'll be my pleasure. I've been doing a lot of research on supply chains in the COVID pandemic, and that has involved research, for example, on competition for PPEs in game theory. It's involved expanding the models for supply chain networks to include labor, so we can figure out the impacts of, labor disruptions on supply chains and losses of productivity. I've also continued to do a lot of work on perishable product supply chains because they're also very relevant in the pandemic, from blood supply chains to pharmaceuticals, as well as the COVID vaccine, and the cold chain. So the research that we've been doing, I also really believe in getting the information out to the public. So in addition to writing papers, I've also written several op-eds, and I wrote one on blood supply chains and shortages on March 12th. That was the day after the pandemic was declared. And that actually went viral, and it influenced policies. That was really, really gratifying. Wow. I've also written another conversation piece on game theory and competition for PPEs. That was published in August. And the most recent one was on the cold chain, especially the extreme cold chain and the COVID vaccine, which was published in September 18th. And that's resulted in tons of media contacts and requests for interviews. So these are just some of the things that I've been involved in. And in addition, Informs has been very proactive, has been connecting those of us who do research in relevant areas with the media, and that has enhanced the visibility and also the impact, I think, of the work that we've been doing. And it's been extremely gratifying, very energizing, and also very impactful.
That's great. That is wonderful, and what a wonderful contribution as well that you're making.
Thank you.
And so Informs has really helped with engaging the press on making sure that the work that you're doing on supply chains is out there.
Yes, they've been absolutely fantastic, and in different kinds of ways. I enjoy not only talking, with the major newspapers nationally and also the Associated Press. I also enjoy very much doing radio shows in places that, I've never even been to. For example, in Des Moines, Iowa, in Fargo, North Dakota. And you can really make an impact. And I think it's fascinating. I've been on Farm Talk. I've been on Jeff Angelo's show. I did a recording for a major public radio program as well, which will be airing in about 2 weeks. So it's not just, for example, this week alone, I had quotes from my interview published in the Associated Press, and that went viral because it was reprinted in the Washington Post. It was on ABC News. That was Monday. Also, an interview in the Boston Globe on work that we've been doing on food and retail and prepping for the holidays. And then, amazingly, I did an interview just Tuesday with the Wall Street Journal, and that was already published, on freight security and the COVID vaccine, which I think is fascinating. That's the first of its kind. So you see all these different applications that we've been working on that are really relevant in terms of supply chains, from food and labor to the vaccine, to security, and so on. So I spend sometimes hours even on a weekend talking with journalists, in Paris, in Iowa, in LA, you name it. But I think as an educator, that's part of our role. And that's really, really important to be doing that now. even if, some of the interviews take an hour, okay, or at least half an hour.
Yeah.
But what the journalists then come back to me and say, we wish that we had majored in logistics. I think that's, fantastic. And one from, I won't say which major newspaper said, Anna, you become my muse. I'm just so obsessed with supply chains now. Thank you. And networks. And I say, yes, it's worth it. It's really, really worth it. So thanks so much to Informs, for making a lot of the connections and also for enhancing our visibility in different kinds of ways. Is the daily COVID-19 press releases where our wonderful members have been quoted and interviewed and cited. It's also posting these on the Informs website. So if journalists are looking for experts under different search, words, they can find these experts, our community much more easily and readily. So, I think Informs is going way and above over any other professional organization in promoting the skills, the expertise of our members. And I'm so grateful for that. I think we all win as a society, as a field, and we're doing great things, which are being noticed.
Well, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. There's no greater sense of accomplishment when you've inspired someone to turn around and say, I want to do what you're doing.
Right.
So that in itself, that's a big W.
And some of these are Pulitzer Prize winners, finalists for Pulitzer Prizes, and I'm like, yes. I think.
So
but they see the beauty of our field too, and the importance of the work that we do, and how we can really help society now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Any other big wins that you'd say has been part of by being able to publicize your work?
I think the blood supply chain shortage issue, the op-ed that I published in The Conversation on March 12th, amazingly, within 5 weeks, it influenced policy. Okay, there was a major document written to Admiral Giroir on we need to relax some of the blood donation requirements. It was signed by 22 different attorneys generals of states, okay? And my article was cited on the very first page, and it's been implemented. So, in 5 weeks, doing something like that is extremely heartwarming.
So that's great. So how about for people outside of the ORMS community? What's some of the value that Informs may be providing to them?
Well, I think through Informs, just look at the website. Look at, for example, in terms of COVID activities, you have the supply chain applications, the healthcare applications, as well as the transportation. I've actually been advertising the Informs website to many members, outside of ORMS, because there's so many valuable resources on the Informs website. And I know that there are other media people going there for ideas, and also education. It's, not only a valuable resource, but it's also very, very educational and informative.
Excellent, excellent. So I guess one more question. So what's going to be the next big thing we'll be talking about with regards to research in COVID and the pandemic?
I think still the theme of supply chains will continue to resonate, and all sorts of different manifestations, from the extreme cold chain that's needed. Game theory is also extremely important. Can we have more cooperation among different regions, different states, working together kinds of themes? I think definitely supply chains, especially perishable product supply chains, extremely, extremely important. And re-envisioning them so that they're more effective for society and they work better. Okay? And again, it's not, just in time, it's also just in case, which, many of us are working on more resilient supply chains, minimizing disruptions and so on.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time and really for this incredible work that you're doing.
And thanks to Informs, and thanks for bringing us all together. It's such a special community, and it's global in nature, and very, very important during this pandemic. So I wish you all the best, and thank you for including me.
Indeed it is. Thank you so much. It was great talking with you.
Bye-bye, Glenn.
Bye now. Well, I hope everyone has had a great Tuesday. If you haven't already, make sure to visit the exhibit hall. Visit the booths and chat with the reps. They've got some great live technology workshops planned, so make sure you check the schedule.